is on beginners fiqh from the book Ad-Durar Al-Bahiyyah في المسائل الفقهية. Last week, we were continuing our discussion of the book of divorce, Kitab al-Talaq, and the subchapter of Bab al-Khula, the khula type of divorce, or the khula type of separation. And we were explaining before this subchapter the wisdom of divorce being a part of Islam, and some of the wisdoms that we as servants and slaves have learnt about Allah's legislation in the permissibility of divorce. And we also laid down there are times in which divorce is obligatory. You must do it. And there are other times in which divorce is haram. You cannot do it. And there are times in which divorce is recommended. It should be done, but you don't have to. And there are times in which divorce is disliked. It's permissible to be done, but you shouldn't do it. If you don't have to, you should avoid it. And there are other times in which there is no ruling, like wearing brown or green or red or black. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. All 5 of those circumstances and scenarios are going to be based off of the situation. Based off of the situation. What's in front of you for the man, the woman, the husband, and the wife. Certain instances in which it's a must, it has to be done. Certain instances it cannot be done, etc. And there are different types of divorces in Islam, different types and ways of separation. And from those types is that which is called al-khula. Al-khula. As many people they commonly say, khula or khula or a khula. A khula type of divorce. So that's the last thing that we went over in the last week's class. When a man gives this, a woman asks for this, what happens, etc. The last point we were explaining was أو إلزام الحاكم مع الشقاق بينهما. Or he says ولا بد من التراضي بين الزوجين على الخلع, is that no one can be forced into it. Both parties must be aware of it, and this is the decision that they want to make. No one can be forced or coerced, man or woman, for the khula. We explained that. And if that's not the case, one party, male, female, bride, groom, whatever, they say, no, I don't want to do the khula. But the hakim, the ruler, yani the qadi, what's meant by the hakim is the qadi, he decides that it must be done because of the shiqaq, the major problems that they're having, both sides or from one side with regards to the next. And that is the concept of abating or annulling a marriage. Can that be done in the United States? Can that be done in a place in which there is no Sharia court? We explained this last week in detail. Can it be done? And if it can be done, should it be done? And if it can be done and it should be done, then most importantly is how. How is this to be done? A woman comes into the Imam's office with major complaints about her husband, and her husband refuses to divorce her. He refuses to listen. He refuses to regard her, to respect her. And she has proof and evidence proving and showing that what she's saying is totally and absolutely correct and true. And the husband is wronging her and he is oppressing her. What is the woman's escape pod or her flight square? How does she get out of check? Like chess. How does she move from being under that threat of having her king taken away from her? Where's her flight square? What is the makhraj? What's the makhraj from the dhulm or that fitna? What is her way out if a man has the ability to marry and divorce when he wants to? And a woman cannot divorce herself. When and how does a woman have the ability to get out of dodge, to get out of the way of harm? That's the wisdom in that, right? We explained that last week. Fine. The author, the Matin, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَهُوَ فَسْخٌ وَهُوَ فَسْخٌ, and that this type of divorce is not a talqa, but it's called a fasq. And the difference between the two is how long a woman has to wait before remarrying. The difference between the two is, can a man take her back? The difference between the two, does it count from the divorces that a man has, 2/3, etc. So this is called a fasakh, which basically means that the marriage is annulled, or it's become null. It's null and void, and it's not a talqa, and there's a difference. The author says, وَعِدَّتُهُ حَيْضَةٌ, and the iddah period is one menstrual cycle. The iddah period is not 1 month, he doesn't say, but he says one menstrual cycle. One menstrual cycle. Meaning the time in which she has to wait before she can remarry. The time in which she can wait before she remarries is at least one menstrual cycle. Her coming on the cycle and going off the cycle. Whether that takes 30 days or 7 days or 10 days or 6 days. It is not a pure cycle. It is not an entire month, but it is a haydatun, one menstrual cycle. And what's meant by that is that she cannot marry until that menstrual cycle is over. We see here clearly the difference between this and between the talqa, and when she's supposed to wait 3 menstrual cycles. It's longer. And there's a wisdom in the iddah period being longer. And also the husband has the ability to take her back within the iddah period, even without her consent. And without the consent of her father or her guardian. As far as the khula and the fasakh, as soon as that's done, they are now officially separated. Tomorrow, he calms down, he's no longer angry. He can't say, oh, I love you, I miss you, I've taken you back. Let's live happily ever after. It's done, it's over. And the only way that they can remarry is with a whole new marital contract. An entire new what? Marital contract. So the iddah of talaq, the man divorces his wife. The next morning, he calms down. His impulses settle. He's not angry anymore. And he says, he kisses her and says, I take you back, I love you. And they have intercourse with each other. That's different. Once this is done, the fasakh is done, khalas. The woman is not allowed to stay in the house with the man. She's not allowed to be uncovered in front of the man. He's not allowed to sit and chat and talk with her in a way in which he did before. Even though that could be done in the talaq iddah, in which the woman is to remain in the household. In the household, she does not have to cover up in front of him, and she's technically still his wife. And he's still providing for her and taking care of her, etc. As far as the fasakh, then the contract is done immediately. So there are differences, hardcore differences. And the period of this iddah is for her to not remarry a man, and she's bearing the seed of that past husband or that ex-husband, that past man. Everyone understand this? As far as the iddah talaq, then that's one of the wisdoms, not for lineage to be mixed up. And another wisdom is for them to reconcile and for them to think about it, etc. But that's not the case with the khula. And that's because the nature of the khula is that, hypothetically speaking, the problems, the complaints, the dhulm is coming from the man. And hypothetically speaking, the talaq problems are going to come from the woman, even though it could come from both sides too. But we said hypothetically, yani as a default. As a what? As a default. A man can divorce his wife because of his problems that she's unpleased with or displeased with. And she complains, they fight, they argue, etc. He hit her, he doesn't give her money, he doesn't spend time with her, whatever dhulm or whatever problems that they're having, and he divorces her. But as the default, the khula is when the woman has said, he doesn't do this, he cannot do this, I've waited, I've advised him, I cannot live like this anymore. Deen or dunya. Deen or dunya. He doesn't, obviously prayer is a big, long issue. Is a person still a Muslim who doesn't pray? But he doesn't have no type of deen whatsoever. Or he has a major error or a flaw in his character. Very bad anger problem. Or he's very cowardly. All right? He's a great liar. He has a gambling addiction, a drinking addiction. Or there's something wrong with his body. Let's say he lost his leg in a bad accident. She says, it's no hard feelings, but I can't be with you. I'm sorry. I don't wish to be with a husband who only has one leg. I'm sorry. I love you, but malish, life has to go on. or he can't produce children, or other problems and other issues from her basic rights. Everyone understand this? So therefore, if that's the case, then it only makes sense for her only to have to wait one menstrual cycle. And that wisdom being making sure that she does not remarry and that one man is watering the garden of another. Everyone understand this? Is that she's not pregnant with his child. Everybody clear on this? Now in Al-Islam, which is only the Kitab and the Sunnah, that's Islam. اتبعوا ما أنزل إليكم من ربكم ولا تتبعوا من دونه أولياء. Follow what's been sent down to you from Allah, your Lord. And that which has been sent down is Kitab and Sunnah. Those are the rules that we have. Kitab and Sunnah. Okay? The Ijma' goes back to the Kitab and Sunnah. The Qiyas goes back to Kitab and Sunnah. The understanding of the pious predecessors goes back to the Kitab and the Sunnah. And all of the other principles of Adillah, Saddu Dhari'ah, precaution, etc. It all goes back to Kitab and Sunnah. Okay? So therefore, the Kitab and the Sunnah shows us that a woman is allowed to remarry as soon as her iddah period is over. If a woman is widowed, she waits 4 months and 10 days. As soon as it's up, she can remarry. As soon as the iddah is finished, she can remarry. And it isn't about culture and cultural values. You were with your husband, you had your 5-day menstrual cycle, you're making the ghusl, you're making salah, you're fasting, now you're having to sit down, you want to get remarried. You just jumped into another marriage. You're just rebounding into another marriage. You just got divorced. That's culture. That's a cultural norm. The Kitab and the Sunnah, which all we have, that's all we have is Quran and Sunnah. That's our constitution of life. It proves that a woman is allowed to remarry as soon as the what? Iddah is finished. That is the ruling of Allah Azza wa Jalla and His Messenger. Regardless of your culture, or my culture, or your culture, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh, a eighth, a ninth. Black, white, red, purple, and green. They have their different cultural norms and values. All right? Unfortunately, we oftentimes put our culture before the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah. All right? And when you read the books of tafsir, and you read the explanation of these different verses and these different rulings, you'll be shocked how the companions were with regards to iddah. And when the iddah was over, how they would immediately what? Go right into getting married. They would go right into getting married. Rather, there are rulings of indirectly expressing your interest in a woman, even in the time of what? Iddah. Indirectly. Let alone when the iddah is done. So this, debunks the different cultural norms, or sore or salty or jealous ex-wives or ex-husbands who say, oh, brother Fulan married my wife as soon as she was divorced from me. She got married as soon as she was divorced from me. Or you got married to this sister as soon as you were divorced from me because you were rebounding, so on and so forth. What people say. The moment, the hour rather, 12 a.m., it's done what? It's hot. Bismillah. Everyone understand this? We get this or not? Do we have to make references about this? The man delivered the pizza. He was what? How many seconds was he late? Huh? He said, the wise man say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price what? وهكذا. Oh, come on, call. Everyone understand this? So the point is that if a person is supposed to be there on time, and the moment that person is late, 30 seconds a minute, that means what? It's late. Malish. And the same applies to the iddah. When the woman is free, she's out of that iddah, she can do what? She can marry whoever she wants to marry. When a man, because a man, there are times which a man can have an iddah as well. There is a time. There is a time which a man can what? Have an iddah. They mentioned in the fiqh riddles, if a man has 4 wives, he divorces one of them, right? The third or the fourth wife that he divorced, he now wants to marry her sister, which is also permissible, even though it's culturally unaccepted in most cultures. But in Islam, the Kitab and the Sunnah is what? It's permissible to do that. What culture would it be okay and acceptable for a man to be married to one lady, one sister, one girl, and then what? Later on be married to her sister? Who would accept that today? But in the Quran and the Sunnah, that's what? It's permissible, but you can't have them at the same time. So therefore, the scholars of Islam, they mention a man has 4 wives. He divorces the 4th wife. He wants to remarry. He wants to have a complete what? Circle all around, huh? Arba, right? He wants to have 4 wives, right? And now he's thinking about Sister Karima's sister, who is, what's her name? Sister Khadija. So he can't marry Sister Khadija until what? No, until Sister Karima's iddah is finished. Because he can't be married to 2 sisters at the same time. So in actuality, who's doing the iddah now? Brother Kareem. Everyone understand this? Brother Kareem is in iddah right now. He can't get remarried until what? Everything is clear. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this or not? Hada huwa. Or even more general, if he has 4 wives, he divorces Sister Karima, the last one, and then he wants to marry a whole new sister, Abdullah, right? Can he marry her while Sister Karima is in iddah? Technically, no. She's still his wife. What if it's the 3rd divorce? Bismillah, different story. Everyone understand this? You lift up the tab, you press the red button, huh? Fire, huh? Torpedoes away. Everybody clear on this? So culture is a thing in the Kitab and the Sunnah is what? Sometimes, alhamdulillah, they merge. And the culture goes with the Quran and the Sunnah. Alhamdulillah, there's nothing wrong with that. My culture is to honor my guest. My culture is to be kind to my wife. My culture is to do this. Alhamdulillah, that's also supported in the Kitab and the Sunnah. But my culture is now, what? To treat my girl children very harshly. To treat them like there were mistakes and accidents in life. I wanted a boy, you're not supposed to be here. That's my culture. And any man who doesn't treat his daughters as such is a weak man. Now the culture cannot be acted upon. And the culture is against the teachings of the Kitab and the Sunnah. And any other issue like this. Everyone understand this? So when it comes to marriage and divorce, like I said, we have Kitab and Sunnah, and then we have what? Other than that. Which one are we going to do? Which one are we going to stick to? Which one are we going to practice? All right? Allahul Musta'an. And the same applies to age and marriage. A young man marrying an older woman or vice versa. Races, cultures, tribes, and the list goes on. We have Kitab and Sunnah, and then we have what? Other than that, huh? Allahul Musta'an. Khairan inshallah. So he says here, وَعِدَّتُهُ حَيْضَةٌ. And the iddah period for the khula is 1 menstrual cycle. It's 1 menstrual cycle. Now, question. Mas'ala. Can a woman seek the khula while she's menstruating? Is it permissible? Or is it like talaq in which she's not supposed to get any divorce while she's menstruating? Fadl. That is haram. So it'd be permissible until proven to be impermissible. Why would a person say it's permissible though? Or impermissible? What would be the rationale? Situation is dire, meaning she can't wait until, like the talaq is different, in which the man is doing it. And he's supposed to have the necessary what? Composure to wait. Let alone the fact you were just with the woman last night, now you're divorcing her. Right? طيب. Another mas'ala, is it permissible for a man to force his wife to get khula? He says, I'm not going to divorce you, but if you want khula, I'll give it to you. The only way I'm going to let you go if you give me back the ring, the bracelet, the anklet, the money, the everything I bought you, the clothes, the shoes, the what else? The DVD player, the whatever else he bought her. What's the rule on that? Let's not act like this is not real life now, guys. This is what happens. A person has spite. I want what? Everything back. Every square inch that the towel on the bathroom floor that I put, I want what? I want back now. This is a reality. What's the ruling on a man forcing his wife to get the khula, putting the pressure on her? Is that permissible? Impermissible. Why not? What's the proof that it's impermissible? That it's dhulm. La darar wa la dirar. It's harm, right? طيب. Khairan inshallah. All right. Okay, let's move on to the next chapter. The author rahimahullah, he says, Babul Ila. وهو أن يحلف الزوج من جميع نسائه أو بعضهن لا قربهن. فإن وقت بدون 4 أشهر أو بها اعتزل حتى ينقضي ما وقت به. وإن وقت بأكثر مما أو منها خير بعد مضيها بين أن يفيء أو يطلقه. It says here, باب الإلاء, another type of divorce. And that is the type of divorce which is called al-ila. So far we have how many? We have what? Talaq, and then we have khula, and now we have ila. وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْلُونَ مِن نِسَائِهِمْ. Surah what? Al-Baqarah. Al-ila. The author says, وَهُوَ, ila is أن يحلف الزوج من جميع نسائه أو بعضهن, is that a man swears, he makes an oath to all of his wives, or one of them, if he only has one, or one from among 4 or 3 or 2, he will not go near them. Meaning he will not sleep with them. He would not go near them. Wallahi, I'm not going to touch you. Wallahi, I'm not going to sleep with you. Wallahi, I'm not going to be with you. He swears not to go near one of his wives. That's what it is. He's not directly divorcing her. She's not requesting or asking for divorce, but he's swearing not to what? Be intimate with her. Everyone understand this? And then there are 1 or 2 scenarios. Scenario number 1, فَإِنْ وَقَتَ, if he makes a time period. And scenario number 2 is what? No time period. So let's say a man says, for 4 months, I'm not going to be with you. Or he says, I'm not what? I'm not ever going to touch you. Ever. Period. Everyone understand this? This is the fork in the road now. He says, فَإِنْ وَقَتَ بِدُونِ 4 أشهر أو بها اعتزل حتى ينقضي ما وقت به. Once he swears, and it's less than 4 months, or 4 months exactly, then he has to do what? Avoid them during that time. He has to what? Avoid them during that time. وَالَّذِينَ Allah says, لِلَّذِينَ يُؤْلُونَ مِن نِسَائِهِمْ تَرَبُّصُ 4 أشهر فإن فاءوا فإن الله غفور رحيم وإن عزموا الطلاق فإن الله سميع عليم. طيب, after that, the next scenario, Abdullah, he says, وإن وقت بأكثر منها خير بعد مضيها بين أن يفيء أو يطلق. He says here, if it's more than 4 months, or 4 months go by, now he has to do what? Either go back with her, or he must divorce. He has to. He cannot remain upon that oath for more than what? 4 months, period. There's no option anymore. I still haven't made my decision. I'm unsure yet. No problem. But the clock is what? Ticking. Once that time comes, 1 or 2. No third option. Everyone understand this? طيب. So we have al-ila. I don't think that this type of divorce is going to be that common today. This was a custom of the Arabs. I don't think it was specific to Arabs. I'm sure other cultures did it as well. But I don't think that this is that what? That common today among us. So therefore, if you're a student of knowledge, you're going to learn it, you're going to study it, but you're not going to place as much focus on it as you what? The talaq and the khula. You're going to put more energy and time in the more common things. And when a specific situation pops up and comes up, هذا هو. After you already know the basic fundamentals, but you go back and etc. Everyone understand? It's very important. طيب. Moving forward, he says, باب الظهار هو قول الزوج لامرأته أنت علي كظهر أمي أو ظاهرتك أو نحو ذلك فيجب عليه قبل أن يمسها أن يكفر بعتق رقبة فلم يجد فليطعم 60 مسكينا فلم يجد فليصم شهرين متتابعين ويجوز للإمام أن طيب, he says here the next type of divorce is that which is called al-Zihar. 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 Al-Zihar, he says, is when a man says to his wife, you like my what? My mother's back. Huh? Al-Mujadila. You like my mother's foot. I have turned my back to Dhaharatuki, yani take my back or your back. In other words, just like I can't lust off of my mother and be intimate with her, the same what? Now it applies to you. He compares his wife to his Mother. And obviously we all know what Allah says about this in the Quran. That is munkar. And it's zur. It's not the fact. These aren't the facts. Their mothers are what? Illa la'i waladnahum. Your mother is the one who what? Who gave you birth, not your wife. طيب, al-muhim. Why is not that important? What's important is that it's a rule. And it was a prevalent custom. And Allah knows best. If you studied and looked deep and read certain books, Allahu alam, I would think and feel that you will find another race or culture that what? Does this. Somewhere in this part of this country or this continent, you'll find someone who has this same type of what? Or similar cultural behavior. In which a man says, I can't go to my wife right now for this amount of time. I just came back from battle. Right? Or she just gave birth. Even though she's off of the postnatal bleeding, but I have to wait 6 months for her to stop what? After the pregnancy is over. All right? Or my mother told me that I what? You got to stay away from your wife for a week. Just like you have to come visit me. Methylene, you'll find some type of what? Cultural reference. But in most cases, and Allah knows best, a man is going to do this. Allahu alam, could be frustration. Could be wanting to oppress her or wrong her. Something like this. طيب. So the verse that says قد سمع الله قول التي تجادلك في زوجها وتشتكي إلى الله. There are many fawaid from that surah. And there are many fawaid from that opening verse. From the opening verse, the fawaid that we get from that is what? Anyone know? Allah heard. طيب. Something more than that, you're close. But it's something more detailed than that. Just think about the verse. What it says. Fadal. That he hears the complaints. There's something deeper than that. Think about it. قد سمع الله قول التي تجادلك في زوجها وتشتكي إلى الله والله يسمع إن الله طيب, what's mentioned in that verse and how many times is it mentioned? It says قد سمع الله. Allah has what? Literal translation, heard. Moving forward. Wallahu yasma'u, and Allah hears your discussion. Tahawurukuma, right? What does it verse end with? And Allah is what? All hearing and all seeing. So hearing was mentioned how many times in the ayah? 3 times. And how many different ways and styles? Past tense, present tense, and also affirming the what? The name. What did Aisha radiallahu anha say? She was in the room. She wasn't that far away, and she says, إِنَّهُ لَيَخْفَى عَلَيَّ بَعْضُ حَدِيثِهَا. I couldn't hear everything she was what? Saying. She was there, and she said, I couldn't hear what? Everything that she was saying. And Allah said that He does what? He hears it. He hears it. طيب. We're not here to discuss this in detail. Al-Muhim, this is one of the fawaid that some of the scholars of Islam and of tafsir have mentioned regarding this ayah and regarding the affirmation of Allah Azza wa Jalla's names, His attributes, and His actions. All 3. The name, the attribute, and the fi'l. And of course, there's the athar of that, the effect and the impact of the affirmation of that name and of that attribute. That Allah hears, Allah has heard, and Allah is all hearing. Everyone understand this? And of course, we know we don't need to say this here. I don't think so. Hopefully not. Inshallah, hopefully any other masjid, what we believe about Allah Azza wa Jalla and His names and His attributes. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله إلى آخر آية. The Rasul, the messenger, believes in everything that is what? Been sent down to him. وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ. And also the what? The believers. And they just don't نُؤْمِنُ بِبَعْضٍ وَنَكْفُرُ بِبَعْضٍ. Believe in some and reject others. يُفَرِّقُونَ بَيْنَ اللَّهِ وَرُسُلِهِ. They split up between Allah and His messengers. We'll accept Isa, but not what? Muhammad. We'll accept Musa, but not what? Muhammad. Or وَهَكَذَا. So this goes to show us, like Abdullah ibn Mubarak said, مَنْ فَسَدَ من علمائنا ففيه شبه باليهود ومن فسد من عبادنا ففيه شبه بالنصارى. He says those of our scholars who go astray or have problems, they're imitating the Jews. And those from our worshipers who go astray or have problems, they're imitating Christians. So we just don't take what we want and say, oh, we don't take that. Nor do we say that there are 10 different attributes of Allah or 15 different attributes of Allah mentioned in the Quran vividly, over and over again, in different styles. Everyone understand this? And say that all 15 of those attributes all mean one thing. Love, good pleasure. Allah Azza wa Jal, Inna Allah ya'jabu. Allah is amazed at the people who enter paradise in chains. We say all of these different attributes all mean one thing, that Allah is giving a reward. Allah says love and you say reward. Everyone understand this? Everyone understand this? Allah says my power, my strength. Inna Allah dhul quwwat. Allah is the most powerful, al-mateen. And we say no. That means something else. Yadullahi fawqa aydihim bima khalaqtu biyadayya. What I've created with my two hands. And we say it doesn't mean that. And it can't mean that. And Allah can't have that attribute. But it all means power. But Allah clearly said, here's power. And then in this verse he said what? Biyadayya. Everyone understand this? Our hands. وهكذا. So Allah says a thing. And then we come along and say, no, it really means that. طيب أنتم أعلموا أم الله. Allah says, do you know more or Allah? Who knows Allah more than we do? Rather, and another thing is that there's going to be an interpretation. You can interpret something, but it has to have two conditions. Or from the most important conditions are two. And that is, number one, there has to be a need. And number two, there has to be a proof. Why do we have to interpret this? And if you feel that there's a need, the meaning has to be in harmony with other texts, there has to be a what? A dalil. That was meant by this attribute in this verse is something else and not that. If there's no need and if there's no dalil, then there's no longer interpretation. It's not a difference of opinion. Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali. No, it is now tahrif. It's distortion. It's distortion of the Quran. And it's disrespect to Allah Azza wa Jal to tell Allah what He really meant to say. And to tell Allah what He really meant to teach us and tell us. Even though He said this is a thing here and what? That's a thing there. But we say no, they're the same. Allah says a thing over and over again and we say this is what really is meant by it. And that's also false in itself. I would understand this. Allah rose over the throne. They say istawla. Allah conquered the throne. He conquered it. Okay, no problem. So who did Allah conquer it from? Who did he have to fight with? Who did he conquer it from? This is a serious question. And on top of that, do human beings conquer? Do human beings conquer or not? Of course. So therefore, the resemblance between Allah and His created beings, based off of your interpretation, is still what? فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ? Where are you going now? So it's hypocrisy and contradiction upon what? Hypocrisy and contradiction. Let alone the fact that there's no proof that istawa means istawla. لا دليل من الكتاب والسنة ولغة العرب. And number two is that why is there a need to say that isn't how it is? Because istiwa means Allah changed. The law is like a human and. What commandment is this? So therefore, no problem. So Allah conquered a thing. Before you conquer that thing, that means what? Or you also had to change too. I said I came, I saw, and I did what? I conquered. That's what He said. I came, I saw, and I did what? Then I conquered. So before I came, before I saw, and before I conquered. So that methodology of picking and choosing and distorting and warping and using all type of strange, weird, and peculiar types of Arabic to understand Allah's attributes is totally false. And there is no quarter that is given in these issues. Not like some people say, oh, it's all okay, it's ikhtilaf, it's all Ahl Sunnah, it's like the fiqh madhabs. No, it's not true. It's not true. It's not like a fiqh madhab. Let alone there are certain fiqh madhabs, principle, theory, practice, that are wrong as well. And just because the Shafi'i say something, or the Hanafi say something, or the Maliki say something, it doesn't mean that that's true. Everyone understand this? But they differ over the issue and not the school being a accepted school of jurisprudence. Everyone understand this? So at the end of the day, we're not here to discuss this in detail. It is not a class on Asma wa Sifat. It's not a class on the Aqeedah of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. This is something that we only have said before many times, and we're saying now for us to stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and bi'idhnillahi ta'ala have something to beg and argue for in front of Allah, and for us to have one less thing to be responsible and questioned by Allah standing in front of Him. You did not speak about the truth, and tell my servants about the truth, and warn from those who disrespect me, and those who lie against me, and those who do not know me as I am to be known. Everyone understand this? Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamun ala al-mursaleen. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Allah sent prayers upon the messengers. Why? لِسَلَامَةِ مَنْ قَالُوهُ. Because of what they said was correct about Allah. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Allah says what they say about Allah. The mushrikun and the Nasara and the ignorant blind followers from among this ummah who follow them and disrespecting Allah. وَمَا قَدْرُ اللَّهَ حَقَّ قَدْرِهِ. Those who don't give Allah His true worth, His true value. Everyone understand this? So Allah said that He is free from what they say about Him. And then He said, وَسَلَامٌ عَلَى الْمُرْسَلِينَ. And peace be upon the Rusul, the messengers, because they said about Allah, which was what? Befitting. Their description of Allah was befitting. And that's why Allah sent prayers upon them. And that's why Allah Azza wa Jal, He sent prayers upon them because they said about Allah was correct. So those who follow the path of the messengers, that'll be the case. And those who come up with a new creed, a new belief system, a new way of understanding and describing and talking about Allah, they will not have that salam. And they will be included in Subhana Rabbika Rabbil Izzati Amma Yasifun. They say about Allah that which is unbefitting. And they have not valued and given Allah His true worth and comparing Allah to His created beings. Then saying we have to get a different meaning and we have to make an interpretation. They've interpreted after they made tashbih. Allah rose over the throne was above Him, He had to change, He changed al-ihdath, etc. In other words, like a what? Like a human. Then they looked for a twisting and a warping of it, and they call it ta'wil, interpretation, which is not actually interpretation, it's distortion. So the shabbahu Allah awwalan, thumma ataru sifatihi thaniyan. They made a resemblance. Yadullahi fawqa aydihim. Allah's hand is over their hands. Whoa, Allah can't have a hand like us. A jariha, fingers and skin and bones and knuckles. What la la la. Allah is above this. Laysa kamithlihi shay. So the first thing that they understood from the Quran was what? Tashbih. Then after they did that in their minds, then they verbalized the what? The tahrif, the distortion. And of course they gave it a name of what? Ta'wil. This is interpretation. Oh, this is a different translation, and so on and so forth. Everyone understand this? And there's so many different ways of establishing the truth and refuting and debunking the falsehood and the batil that people cover up and perfume and present it to the general unsuspecting people. But deep down, when you actually read and study what they're saying and believing, that's the end of it. Is that the Quran is a book of just dalala. Because every single verse, Allah Azza wa Jalla, from Baqarah to Juz Amma, is affirming Allah's attributes. Everyone understand this? Allahu yastahzi'u bihim wa yamudduhum fi tughyanihim ya'mahun. Allah mocks them and He leaves them in their what? Tughyan. It said it really doesn't mean that. You can't say that about Allah. Or it says a different translation. Tell you, what translation is there then? Allahu yastahzi'u bihim. In Lughat al-Arab. Ish ma'na yastahzi'u? Billah alayk yani. But Allah asks you, what does it mean? Sheikh Yusuf. Ish ma'na yastahzi'u bihim? في لغة العرب. The meaning is clear in Arabic and English, but it's a way that befits and suits what? Allah, just like His hearing and His seeing befits Him, Azza wa Jal. And then what do we find in Juz Amma of Allah Azza wa Jal sifat? وَمَا لِأَحَدٍ عِنْدَهُ مِنْ نِعْمَةٍ إِلَّا ابْتِغَاءَ وَجْهِ رَبِّهِ الْأَعْلَى. Seeking the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They say Allah can't have a face. What's meant by this verse is reward. Thawab. Iradatul in'am. Allah is giving a reward and Allah wants to bless a person. Okay, tell you. Maybe in Arabic that's what it means. Mumkin. But do human beings not give reward as well? Do human beings not want to bless someone? Does Allah not affirm Turiduna, you want a thing? So where's the resemblance there between Allah and His created beings? You're making ta'wil of something and you fall right back into the what? The same exact thing. Everyone understand this? And there's so many other ways of discussing it, of laying down and establishing the truth and refuting the what? The falsehood. But that's not the worst problem, in my humble opinion. It's not those who have this or believe this, but are those who attribute themselves to Ahl Sunnah. They attribute themselves to the Aqidah and they try to make it seem like it's just, ikhtilaf to nowhere. It's just, Shafi'i, Hanafi. You want to wipe over the socks at the same time or right foot and left foot first? This is my mode and that's your mode. I affirm Allah's attributes as they are and I say no. That doesn't mean that, but it means Allah is blessing them. Radiyallahu anhum wa radu an. Allah is pleased with them, they are pleased with Him. They say Allah is giving them reward. فَسَوْفَ يَأْتِ اللَّهُ بِقَوْمٍ. Allah will bring the people whom He loves. They say what? He will give them reward. That's my mode. And they try to paint it and seem as if it's an ikhtilaf, which is sa'igh. Laysa ikhtilafan sa'ighan. It's not okay. And it's not a different mode that you can take. And it's all optional. It's truth. And there's what is after the truth except for what? That's what it is. And the proof for that is what we've just explained, what we've just laid down. Khair, inshallah. Al-Muhim, we ask Allah for guidance. We ask Allah to allow our Aqidah to be correct and for us to be firm upon this Aqidah and for us never ever to be afraid or scared of anyone, any man or any place or location in which we're afraid to say what we know to be the truth. Wallahu a'lam. We'll stop here tonight. Sallallahu sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabiyina.